Welcome back everyone, this is Mindy. In today's video, I am very excited to share with you the Picket Fence Studios collaboration stamp set for STAMPtember over at Simon Says Stamp. This stamp set is called Shake Your Flakes This Season, and I have a beautiful wintry sky to create with this. This is a look at the stamp set. You can see it's a very large 6x8 stamp set with tons of sentiments, cute critters, and just a lot of wintry fun. To start off my card, I'm going to stamp my image. I'm going to be doing some masking, which I don't hardly ever do. So I'm starting off with my snowman. I am going to be using the Picket Fence Studios Black Hybrid ink, which is great for watercoloring, copic markers, pretty much everything. So I'm stamping that onto some Neenah Solar White cardstock, and I'm also going to stamp it onto some Simon Says Stamp masking paper. Now what I was checking there is you want to make sure you're stamping this on the right side. I have previously stamped this on the wrong side so it wouldn't stick to my cardstock, so just make sure you're stamping this on the right side. And then taking some scissors, I'm going to fussy cut this out, and it's okay that the arms are not going to be included. It's still going to work out. I'm just cutting this along that black line. You want to cut just inside of the black line so you don't leave a white edge around your character unless that's what you're going for. And then I'll peel off the backing and attach that to my image on my cardstock. Next, I'm going to create some hills for myself. So I just took some Post-it tape and hand cut those hills. I'm going to have 2 of them, and I'm just kind of laying them out where I want. Now I'm cutting this one starting from the other side of the Post-it tape so it looks like my hills are layered. And you can decide how high you want those to go. I just wanted to have one hill further in the back, and you could see there was a little bit of gap between where I wanted that back hill to be. So I'm just taking some scrap Post-it tape and putting that in there. That's going to protect the bottom of my cardstock so I'm not getting any ink down there from my sky. Now for the background, I have this really great stencil. This is the 2.5-inch blending stencil. So it has a circle in the middle. There's also a piece, and I'll show you in a little bit, that is a circle that came out of that. It's a really great stencil to use if you're looking to create a moon in your background, which is what I will be doing. So I'm lining up that circle about where I want it in my background. I'll hold that in place with some Post-it tape, and then I'm going to start ink blending. This is Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to lightly blend this around the outer edge of my moon. Now this is a little bit darker of a blue than what Tumbled Glass is, mainly because I use this particular brush for any type of light blue, so this might be combined with some Salty Ocean. It still works out because once we have the rest of the colors in the background, it all pulls together really well. So I just run around those edges, making sure to leave the middle of my moon white. And then I'll just go ahead and carefully remove that and wipe down my stencil so it's ready for the next time I use it. Now I'm going to bring in the other part of this stencil. So this is kind of a 2-piece stencil. You can see here it matches up. I'm going to use that middle section that's going to cover my moon perfectly. I do have a little bit of PIXIE spray on there, so that's going to just temporarily hold in place while I create my background. I'm starting off with Picked Raspberry Distress ink. I'm just kind of wiping off on my mat a little bit. I didn't want to come in too strong with my colors. And then I'm lightly ink blending from the bottom up towards my moon. I can always come back in and add more ink later if I want. That's why I like to start kind of soft. And I'm actually working on a Waffle Flower media mat. This is really great when you're ink blending because your cardstock doesn't move. It's a silicone mat, so your cardstock stays in place and doesn't slide all over the place. Next, I'm bringing in Blueprint Sketch, and I'm going to go all around my card, around that moon. I am kind of holding that moon in place just to make sure it didn't shift because my PIXIE spray had been on there for a while. I've used it quite a few times. And I'm going to blend into that picked raspberry a little bit. It's going to create a really great purple which just works really well with the background. And then I'm going to wipe my blending brush off on a cloth that I have off on the side, and I'm going to use this for the chipped sapphire. That's going to be my next color I use. And this is a really nice deep blue, so I'm going to go around those outer edges, blending into that blueprint sketch a little bit more. I don't want to completely cover that blueprint sketch. I wanted to show the variation in the sky. To work all of these colors together a little bit more, I am going to go back over the blueprint sketch to make that a really nice smooth blend. And then I'm going to also bring back in the picked raspberry. It was kind of a little too light for my background, so I'll bring that in and blend into that blueprint sketch a little bit more. Now once I'm happy with that blend, we can do the big peel and reveal. So I'm just going to carefully peel off that circle portion to reveal my moon, which looks great with this background. And then I can go ahead and remove my top layer of the Post-it tape. I'm not going to really do much with that particular hill, but I will come back in and add my lower hill. So this is the one in the front. And I wanted that just a little bit higher, and I do have some white space there at the bottom, so I am going to bring in a scratch piece of that Post-it tape and cover that up. I'm really famous for putting inky spots where they don't belong, so I'm protecting this however I can. Then I'll bring back in that tumbled glass, and I'm going to start from the top of that hill, the masking paper that I have, and blend up towards the top of my hill in the background. I'm leaving that edge of the hill, the top edge of that hill, white. So it's going to kind of look like the glow of the moon. So it makes a lot more sense when I reveal the masks and you can see it in action. And then just adding a little bit of that tumbled glass at the very bottom of my card, blending up towards that front hill and leaving the edge of that white. So this creates such a great wintry scene, like the moon is shining down and has that crisp white of the snow. Then peeling off our masking paper to reveal our snowman. So I'm really happy with how this scene is turning out. I don't do a lot of one layer cards. And honestly, they kind of scare me because I always mess it up somehow, but really happy with how this is turning out. Then I'm going to start copic coloring. Now I will have all of my supplies listed down below in the video description and on my blog as well. And over on my blog, I will list all of the colors that I'm using to color this. I am actually using some really light purples to color my snowman. I have 3 blends here, and I will blend out darkest to lightest. So I have my shadow area on the left-hand side. I'm not going in very far, you notice. I probably only go to about the middle of the snowman. When you're coloring something white, you want to leave white, but there's always going to be a shadow area of some sort. And I really liked using the purples in this. I think this was the BV000 and a few others in there. I actually saw that in one of my son's children's books where it was kind of a purplish color, and I thought that was really neat and unique. Now normally what I would do with my background is I would flick water on the background since the oxides are reactive to ink, but instead I'm going to use this liquid stardust from Lawn Fawn. You want to make sure you shake this up really well because the sparkle kind of settles at the bottom of the bottle, so shake that up really well. And this is another great reason why I'm using the Waffle Flower Media Mat, is I'm going to just put a couple drops into that tray off on the side. And you really don't need to add much more. You could add water if you wanted to. I didn't because I wanted to get the purest concentration of this sparkle that I could, because it really sparkles. And I will show you this up close in just a few moments. So I'm just dabbing my paintbrush in there and then tapping this onto my background, and it is leaving some beautiful sparkles. So my snow falling in the background is going to be really nice and sparkly. I did wait to do this till after everything else was done, because if it's snowing, my snowman's going to have snow on him. So I just waited till everything was done. And then here I'll give you a close-up look on how gorgeous that sparkle is. I absolutely love this for my backgrounds. This would also be great for galaxy backgrounds as well. Off screen, I did go ahead and stamp my sentiment. So I stamped it in embossing ink onto black cardstock and then heat embossed that with some white embossing powder. And I just trimmed that down to a really thin strip. And I'm going to add foam squares to the back of this. I'm using some black foam squares from Gina K Designs. That way, if you look at the card from the side, you're not going to see white foam squares kind of sticking out like a sore thumb. So I love using the black foam squares with black cardstock. And added that just right over the top of my moon. Now I thought my card was kind of missing something. There are some really cute critters on this stamp set, so I'm stamping out the 2 dogs in the Picket Fence Studios black hybrid ink, and then I'm going to color them in with the Copic markers as well. So I'm making sure on this dog, they're both going to be looking towards the snowman, so that's where I'm placing my shadows. My darkest area for my brown dog is off on the left hand side, and then for my spotted dog I'm going to have that darkest area being on the right hand side. I try not to worry too much about exactly where shadow areas are going to be. I just want to make sure I have that kind of contrast going on with the critters, a light area and a dark area. And then I am adding some white foam squares to my puppies, and I'm just trimming that down with some scissors to make sure that that is covered completely. And once I remove the backing, I can add that to the front of my card. I did fussy cut the dogs out. They were pretty simple to cut out. And last but not least, I'm going to add just a little bit of a shadow area with my Copic marker underneath the snowman and the 2 puppies. Now, if you're interested in this set, be sure to head on over to Simon Says Stamp and pick this up. It is limited time only and only while supplies last. So once it's gone, it's gone. This is such a fabulous set, great for your winter cards. So I will have all of those supplies and linked down below in the video description. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.